Hello, welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install Python on your machine, how to check for the version of Python that you're running on your machine. Then I'll also show you how to install Visual Studio Code and also to get started with Python programming. So get ready and let's get started, shall we? So first, we have to visit the Python official website, which is www.python.org, and then go to downloads so that you can download the latest version of Python. The latest version right now is 3.10.0, and you download the setup or the Python version based on the operating system that you're running on your machine. If you're running Windows, you click on Windows. If it is Linux, you click on Linux, Mac OS, like that. So for my case, I'm using Windows. I'll go ahead and click on Windows, so it will take me to this page. Then look for download Windows installer, whether 64-bit or 32-bit. So I'm interested in Windows installer 64-bit. I'll click on that so that it can take me from where I want to download. So it is asking me, where do you want to save your setup? So I want to save it on the desktop and click to that, then save. So it will start downloading. My download is complete, and now I can be able to go and install Python. So you see, I have this setup here that I'm going to install. For you to install, you need to right click on the setup, then you run as administrator. Okay, so it is asking me if I want to this app to make changes to my device. I'll click yes. Now that I have Python already installed on my machine, that's why it is asking me whether I want to modify, repair, or uninstall, which I don't want to do any of this. But if you're installing Python for the first time, you'll be having that option for install. So I'm going to cancel this process because I already have Python installed on my machine. Okay, so now I have to verify the version of Python that I'm running on my machine, or to verify that Python is installed successfully. I'll open command line and then type in py // then version. Click enter. So you can see that I'm running Python 3.10.0. The other way could be writing the entire word Python and then version. So it's still the same. Now that I've confirmed that I have Python installed on my machine, let me go ahead and prepare my IDE. There are many IDEs or text editors you can use. One of them is PyCharm, that is designated for Python specifically. There's also Visual Studio Code. There is Notepad++. There is Sublime Text. There is Atom. But for this case, I will recommend you use Visual Studio Code for some reasons, which I will show you. So you go to the browser. VS Code is online and is free. So you type in VS Studio Code, download. Then you go to their official site. So you click on whether you want to download for Windows, for this, or for this. I'm interested in Windows 64-bit, so I'll click on this. And then it's supposed to open a window to prompt me to save my setup on the machine. Okay, so here we go. So I'll go ahead and save it also on my desktop so that I can be in position to install. So it is downloading VS Code on my machine. Okay, now that I have already got Visual Studio Code installed on my machine, I won't wait for this setup to complete the download. I will just go ahead and open VS Code. So this is how Visual Studio Code looks like, and the reason as to why I recommended you to use Visual Studio Code is it's because you can be able to install extensions that can enable you to debug through your code, and also to help you as you're developing your program. So from here you can install the Python extension. You first click on this extensions icon and then you type in the search. So I want you to install Python IntelliSense for Microsoft. I have it already installed on in my Visual Studio Code. This is going to help us in debugging, and at a later stage I will show you how to debug your Python program. Okay, now let's go ahead and write our first Python program. For you to create a new file in Visual Studio Code, you go to File and then you click on New File, or you can use the shortcut which is Ctrl N. Now we have to save our file as a Python file so that the machine can understand that this file is for Python. And how do we save? You go to File, then you look for Save As, because we are saving a file for the first time. Okay, so I'm going to save it on my desktop, so I won't change this location. I'll just type in the file name, coding.py. For all our Python files, they are supposed to be having this file extension, which is .py. If you don't save it as a .py file, then your machine will not understand it as a Python file. So I'll save that. You can see that now that it is a Python file, even the logo changes to a Python logo. So I'll go ahead and write our first command that returns hello world. So Python provides a print function that helps us to return anything, and actually not return but to display. So I want to display hello world. Now that I'm displaying a string, I'll put it in double quotes, which is hello world. Okay, I'll save this by clicking Ctrl S or by clicking on save. Whenever you make any changes to your files in Visual Studio Code, it will display here in the Explorer that you're having some unsaved files, and it will be displaying the number of files that are not saved. So I'll click Ctrl S to save my changes. Now let's run this program to see whether it runs successfully. Now, one thing to note, in Python we don't terminate as you do in other programming languages. We don't use that semicolon for termination. You just write your code and leave it at that. Okay, so I'll minimize this and then I'll go. Remember, my file is saved on the desktop, which is this coding. So for me to run it, I'll have to go in this location. So I'll open my file explorer, this one here, and then look for desktop. So on the desktop is where my work is. It is not in any folder. So I'll just go to command line by clicking here. You only click there once. When you see that red the blue highlight, then you type CMD. So it is going to open command line while in the location of where my file is saved, which is on the desktop. So the other way I could open my file on the desktop, or by opening command line and then change the directory by using this cd command, then desktop. Now you see that I'm in the desktop. If I had any other folder, for example, if I want to enter into this folder demo and it is on the desktop and that's where my work is, I would also go ahead to enter into that folder demo. So if you have your work saved on the desktop but in a folder, after entering desktop, you go ahead and also enter in that folder by typing cd and then the folder name. So you see I'm on the desktop and then in a folder called demo, which is this. So for my case, my work is not in any folder, so I'll just go into desktop. Okay, so I'll go and change directory to desktop. Alright, now for me to run my program, which we wrote here in Visual Studio Code so that we can see the hello world, I have to type Python. I have to inform my machine that I'm running this and I want Python to run it. So Python and then the file name, which is coding. .py. You click enter. So it is going to run to return hello world. You can as well use py coding .py. Still does the same whether you use the short the abbreviation or the entire word. So that's how you run your Python program in Visual Studio Code. At this point, I want to congratulate you. You've successfully installed Python on your machine. You have Visual Studio Code, which is your IDE or text editor, and you've written your first Python program that says hello world. So in the next series, I'm going to show you the basic fundamentals, the other principles of Python programming, which include variables, strings, if statements, loops, the input, try catch, and all that. So from there, after grasping or after going through the basics, now we shall go to the advanced stages by introducing the Django framework that supports Python. Thank you so much for being part of this class. If you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and then you'll be able to get the notifications whenever I upload a new video.